So we are recording. Welcome everybody to Russell's Redox room. It is absolutely wonderful to be connected and collaborating and creating with this incredible Asea family. For those of you that are guests, we welcome you and we hope that this is a very informative time for you if you're just starting to check out this incredible, profound technology that is Redox. So without further ado, we are going to jump right in, and I have my first question here. So Russell, are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
All
Thanks,
right.
Brian. Hi, everybody. Welcome.
Well, I guess just briefly, for those of you that don't know Russell, Russell Mariani is the founder of the Center for Functional Nutrition back in 1980. And he has been at the forefront of redox science for over a decade. And he has taken a scientific approach throughout his whole career. But up until 10 years ago, that was really specifically around nutrition. But Russell has always been fascinated at what he refers as the root causes for all health and for all disease. And science has told us unequivocally that the answer to that is in our cells. And now we know, as a matter of fact, the answer is in the communication between ourselves, which is redox signaling molecules. So thank you so much, Russell, for just being an authority and voice when it comes to redox signaling. So someone has unmuted themselves, just trying to figure out who that is. Okay, we're good now. All right, so the first question of the night is, okay, so for people who are using the Redox Gel, over 50 years old, let's say 70 years old, will the Redox Gel take away wrinkles or just prevent new wrinkles from forming?
That's a great question. And so, the answer is, to the degree the skin cells in question are damaged, and that is the basic root of all negative health conditions, whether it's a skin cell or a kidney cell or a liver cell, to the degree there's damage and you're applying the Renew from the outside in, the Renew 28 gel can help those cells to repair the damage and get them back to a much better youthful looking appearance. So yes, I mean, if wrinkles are caused by damaged skin and you repair those damaged cells, then the wrinkles can go away. You can prevent wrinkles from coming on. So again, it's going to, the redox molecules are always going to help any damaged cell to get back to normal functioning. And when it comes to skin cells, that's going to look like much better looking, much better appearance.
Beautiful. Very, very clear. All right, here we go. So when okay, so again, some of these questions are going to say things about specific diseases and things like that, but Russell is going to be very compliant with his answers, so just be aware of that. So how do you tell someone who's diabetic when to take insulin before or after Asea?
Yeah, so that's a very specific medical question, and unfortunately, there are a lot of medical doctors who aren't familiar yet with Asea, with redox. So it's really up to that individual, when to take their Asea. I mean, it's still completely, most people take their first dose of Asea first thing in the morning and a second dose at some other time. Sometimes it's the last thing of the day. And for many people, it's several times during the day. So that really doesn't matter. There's no contraindication between the use of Asea and any medication, and that would include medication for blood sugar problems. So the other thing I would say to that is that a lot of people find that remembering to take a second dose or third dose or whatever is challenging. And so I tell people all the time, just take all of it in the morning, spread it out over 5 or 10 or 15 minutes. But, we know from scientific studies that a certain amount of Asea, depending on the person's deficiency when they first get started, is the key to having them have a really positive experience. So.
Brilliant. Okay, another question here. This is usually a pretty popular one. So, in your 10 years, have you seen, is it better for people to start with 4 ounces and see what happens from there? Or is it better to have the flexibility to, take 8 ounces? What have you seen in regard to 4 ounces versus 8 ounces a day?
Yes. So generally speaking, everyone should be open to starting with 4 ounces a day. That seems to be the universal startup recommendation. But there are people who are super sensitive types, and they know that they are. And so some of those people have decided to start with 2 ounces a day. I sponsored somebody several years ago who started with 1 ounce a day and took several months before she went to 4 ounces a day. And so that doesn't matter. I don't think it's a good idea for anyone to start with 8 ounces a day. It's a good idea to ease your way in. Now, why? We know that the redox molecules are 100% effective 100% of the time with 100% of the cells that they interact with. The unknown is, even if somebody believes that they're in really good shape and really healthy, you do not know what the body has as its agenda in terms of helping to restore normal function throughout the body, to all the organs, all the systems, all the cells. And so many times people talk about detoxification. Oh, I had a headache, or oh, I had this happen, and I think my body was detoxifying when I started taking the redox molecules into my body. And I've always said that detoxification is part of it, but not all of it. And we shouldn't put it in that category that it's just detoxification, because every cell of our body is detoxifying itself 24 hours a day. Every cell of our body is taking in nutrients, taking in water, taking in oxygen, and now taking in redox molecules. And then all of those raw materials are being metabolized 24 hours a day inside of our cell. Damage is being repaired, adjustments are being made. So there's all kinds of activity happening 24 hours a day. The thing to remember, I think, most about anyone who's starting out with the redox molecules is that the primary objective of the body is to use the molecules to restore normal functioning. Okay? And so whatever happens, whatever you observe in that first week or two or month or two is your body restoring function, repairing damage. It's all positive. It's all moving in the right direction. And so each of us have the responsibility to then listen to our body and make the decision whether what's happening is inside of our comfort level. And if that's the case, then we should keep going. But if we feel at any level some discomfort, then we should either stay at the same level or possibly slow down a little bit, take a little bit less of the Asea or less of the Renew 28. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, and I think, as some of these other questions come in, the gaps will be filled in. So the next one here, really from like a scientific breakdown, Russell, why is it recommended to apply the Renew 28 3 times for 30 seconds each under 5 minutes?
Yeah, so I think the best answer to that is because after the first 2 or 3 years that the Renew 28 product was out in the community, people like ourselves and other associates kept experimenting with it over and over and over again. And this strategy of applying it 3 times within 5 minutes emerged. Now, it's not set in stone, and you don't apply it for 30 seconds. You apply it until it completely dissolves into your skin. And that could take 30 seconds, or it could take a minute, or it could take a little bit more than a minute. The idea is that you apply it until it completely disappears, and it will disappear. And then you do a second application, and then you do a third application. Whether all that happens within 4 minutes or 5 minutes or 6 minutes, that doesn't really matter. But the idea is that you're applying it directly to an area of concern. And so the science behind it is simply that, thousands and thousands and thousands of people have done this, and the reports back are some staggering numbers, something like 85 to 90% of people who will apply the Renew 28 in this way 3 times within 5 minutes. And if they had any discomfort prior to doing that, something like 85 to 90% of the people report a decrease in the discomfort. And then, of course, if you don't have a decrease in the discomfort, wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then do it again. And especially if there's an acute injury or, acute discomfort, you could do it 3, 4, 5, 6 times, within an hour, depending on the severity of the injury and what you're trying to achieve. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Going back to some blood sugar questions. So what kind of results can be expected for someone that is struggling in that area once they start, taking the Redox liquid and the Redox gel?
Yeah, so of course, as a company and as individual associates, we can't make any medical claims at all in any area. The safest thing we can always say is that redox molecules are real. They're present in not only in every cell of our body, but they are essential in every biochemical activity. Every single thing that happens, every enzyme, every hormone, everything that happens inside a cell and outside a cell is happening through the medium of redox signaling. And so the whole idea is the restoration of normal metabolism, the restoration of normal activity. And so the cells in our body that are responsible for balancing our blood sugar are no different than any other cells in our body responsible for other activity. And so what we've seen anecdotally over an 11-year period now is many people with blood sugar imbalances have been able to be in much better balance with their blood sugar levels, okay? And so, again, you can kind of fill in the blank with any condition that has a name to it. That condition at its fundamental origin is the result of damaged cells and dysfunctioning cells. And redox signaling molecules in every situation help those damaged cells to repair and help those dysfunctional cells to function closer to normal, closer to their own genetic design. And so everyone is encouraged. There's no set prescription for anyone. And we don't have the technology yet to determine what is the level of deficiency of my body or your body or anybody's body. So everyone is encouraged to start at a certain place and to simply, increase slowly, gradually, methodically, keep track of your results. Fortunately, there's no toxicity whatsoever, even if you drank a whole bottle a day. So it's totally safe, and it's totally effective in helping damaged cells to restore themselves back to normal functioning.
Got it. This is actually a really good question. So the question is simply this, like being healthy, let's say, you, for example, 10 years down the road, healthy, you've been taking Redox. What have you seen over a decade for that kind of maintenance and optimal living? Is it 8 ounces a day? Is it 4 ounces a day? What have you seen in that regard?
So the short answer is 8 ounces a day. I think that this is, closer, very close to kind of a universal amount. Most of the studies have been done at 8 ounces a day. I certainly feel better at 8 ounces a day. I think there's some days I take more. Some days, I might accidentally take less. In terms of what I would say after 10 years, it's amazing. I mean, in so many ways, I look at photographs of myself 10 years ago, and I look older in some of those photographs. I look tired. I look worn out. I mean, it's really quite amazing. My hair looks whiter 10 years ago than it is today. I think the most important thing is that I feel younger at 66 than I did at 56. And I know many people in the Asea family that I've met who are 5 years older than me, 10 years older than me, 15 years older than me, and older. And they all say the same things. They're aging more gracefully than they thought they would. And in many situations, they were able to reverse the aging process. So again, what we have here is truly remarkable. And I think the easiest way to describe it is there is a natural aging process. We are not designed to develop chronic degenerative disease. That's not in our makeup. That's not who we are. And if we all lived in the Garden of Eden, we would not have any degenerative disease. But we live in a challenging environment. And the foods that we eat and the beverages that we drink and the stresses that we have. So all of the complete spectrum of negative health conditions are the consequence of all of those sources of imbalance, all of those sources of negative stress, all of those sources of oxidative stress that literally cause the cells of our body to break down, to become damaged, to become dysfunctional. And so literally for the first time in history, the scientists at Asea have created a redox signaling supplement to allow the body to restore itself to normal levels of these redox signaling molecules. There is something real called the redox potential of cells. My good friend, Dr. Rob Ward, talked about it in this book, Healthy Cells, Healthy Life. There is something called the redox potential of a cell. And if that potential is less than normal, then your body is more vulnerable to damage and dysfunction and dis-ease. So by restoring that potential back to normal levels, you give your body a tremendous advantage, not only to recover and regain normal functioning, but once reestablished, to prevent all kinds of problems happening from down the road. And again, the prevention is not, we put it in terms of preventing disease. We think of it that way, but we can't really talk about it that way. But what we're preventing is premature aging. What we're preventing is the damage to our cells, the damage to our internal organs, and not only through Asea, of course, that's one tool among many, being better hydrated, eating good food, getting exercise, all of the fundamentals are still the fundamentals. What we've simply discovered in the last 10, 12 years since Asea has been in the marketplace is that this is a new fundamental. This is literally a new root cause area. Then we are the ones that get to bring it into the marketplace, bring it into the world. But as I heard Brian say on a Zoom about an hour and a half ago, 10 years from now, this will be completely mainstream around the world. There will be millions and millions. Every country in the world will have it. Every society will have access to redox signaling molecules. And we're the community that will have made that possible.
Absolutely. And going off of actually a talk that you gave a few weeks ago, the question was, you spoke to redox increasing the potential of the cell walls and the cells to help the body's ability to grab the nutrients out of the blood and to send the toxins out of the cell. Can you just kind of walk through that process?
Sure. Yeah. Very briefly, one of the most astonishing things that I've discovered in my research about redox signaling molecules is that whether or not all of the good things that you do every day for your body, for the health of your cells, why you choose to eat these foods as opposed to those foods, why you choose to put these supplements into your body as opposed to those supplements, why you drink this water as opposed to that water, all of those things are raw materials. And we work very diligently with the trust and hope that all those best quality raw materials will get inside the cells of our body. But what a lot of people don't know yet is that whether or not all of those wonderful raw materials get into the cell and then get metabolized inside the cell, all of that is dependent upon redox signaling molecules. Okay, and this is why so many people who have been trying diligently, spending a lot of money on all kinds of supplements, trying different diets, trying all kinds of things to heal their body, to improve their condition, unsuccessfully, and then they're introduced to Asea, and within a week or two they start to feel significantly better. And that's because redox signaling molecules mediate everything, including whether or not these raw materials get inside the cells and then are fully metabolized inside the cells. And specifically what we're talking about is the cell membrane. Okay, cell membrane, I always use the analogy of a water balloon. You can take a sewing needle and pass it through a water balloon without popping it, because on the surface of the water balloon are little holes. And so the same thing on the cells of our body. There are openings called portals. And those openings open and close. They have intelligence. There's intelligence on the cell membrane. In fact, some scientists call the membrane the brain of the cell. But whether or not the gatekeepers at all of those openings see what's passing by in the blood and lymph and decide to open or close, all of that is regulated by redox signaling. So again, there isn't anything that happens in our body, in our brain, in our nervous system. I mean, you name it. Everything that's happening is happening through the medium of redox signaling. In fact, in Gary Samuelson's, this is Gary Samuelson's first book. It's called The Science of Healing Revealed, and it is an explanation of redox signaling. In his second book, which came out a couple of years ago, called A Journey of Discovery into Redox Signaling Biology, the title of chapter 5 pretty much says it all. The title of chapter 5 in Dr. Samuelson's new book is Redox Signaling Molecules Mediate Everything. So really, that's what we have to remember. And then when people ask us questions, do you think it will help with this? Do you think it will help with that? This condition, this disease, that disease. And I've heard Dr. Samuelson answer those questions many, many times, as well as Dr. Ward, as well as many other medical doctors in the Asea community. And the answer to all those questions is, does that condition involve cells? And does that condition involve damaged or dysfunctional cells? And of course, the answer is always yes. And so then the answer is very clear that redox signaling molecules will be very helpful, no matter what problem the cells are struggling with.
Very good. This one is a pretty interesting one. So do you have any experience around recommending the Renew Advanced Gel over, say, the Renew 28 for any kind of specific situation?
That's a good question. I personally have very rarely used the serum. And so I've always used the Renew 28 and recommended that people use Renew 28 for, discomfort and injuries and things like that. But Megan might be able to speak to the Renew Advanced, and Beth Wofford is with us as well. She might be able to speak to the Renew Advanced. I have very limited experience with it. All I know is that in the same way that Renew 28 is a concentration of redox signaling molecules, like 4 times the concentration that we get in a bottle of Asea, the Renew Advanced is a further concentration of redox molecules. Therefore, it should be more effective, because it's more concentrated.
Right. So essentially, to the degree that you can use the Renew Advanced on a pain point, on a scar, on a burn, go for it. That's, the essential message there. Just had hip surgery. How much Asea to be taking, and any time of day that's better?
Yeah, so there's really no time of day that's optimum. I mean, all of us for all these years have always said first thing every morning, first thing within minutes of waking up before anything else goes into your body, kind of infusing your body with redox. That's always a really good idea. In terms of surgery, I mean, literally within the last month, I've had opportunities on 3 different occasions, 3 different types of surgeries. And my recommendation is always, in preparation for surgery, be on your best behavior, of course, and make sure you're properly hydrated and eat good food and take all the via nutritionals. But start increasing the amount of Asea that you're drinking. And literally the day before the surgery, if you can, drink half a bottle or an entire bottle of Asea. Many, many people have done this and have reported, fantastic recovery times from surgery. On the day of the surgery, if it's possible, when you wake up out of anesthesia, to start drinking Asea, absolutely do that. And then the next day, the immediate day after surgery, if you can drink a whole bottle or at least 16 ounces, these are things that we've discovered in the community to be extremely helpful. And then can continue at a high amount in the 2 or 3 or 4 days of your recovery, depending on the surgery, depending on how you're feeling, depending on, how you're recovering. It can only help. It cannot hurt in any way, shape, or form. And in terms of the hip surgery, as soon as you personally have access to the surgically repaired area, you can spray Asea onto the area. You can gently put Renew 28 on that area, and many people have. So again, anytime there's surgery, there's going to be inflammation, because cutting into an area is going to damage a lot of cells, and all those cells are kind of screaming, and they're all talking to each other and saying, hey, we need more blood flow here. Hey, we need more redox molecules here. So by contributing directly to that area, more redox molecules, you're going to allow inflammation to come down and expedite the healing process.
Excellent. And another question here, have you ever heard, experienced, again, over 10 years with the Renew 28, any itchiness as a result of using it? And if so, what would that be? Why would there be itchiness as a result?
Very good question. So two things. The simplest thing first, part of the ingredients of the Renew 28 is a little bit of silica. So even if your skin was perfectly healthy and you didn't use any makeup or lotion or anything, you could have a little dryness as a result of applying Renew 28, even on perfect skin. So many men and women, many women and some men, after applying Renew 28, there's a little residue, and that can be wiped off, or just a good quality, organic quality lotion or moisturizer will get rid of that. However, the other situation is anytime Renew 28 is applied to the skin, we always have to think about what was on that skin. And so if we're talking about the face, there's a lot of makeup, there's a lot of lotion, there's a lot of material that's put on faces. And it's not easy to get all that out of your skin cells. A lot of residue remains. And so many times I've seen people, wash their face, and as they should before applying Renew 28, but then they apply Renew 28, and the next day or the next day or the next day, they're breaking out in little red spots or even things that look like pimples. And they're wondering if the Renew 28 caused that. Well, redox molecules don't cause damage, they repair damage. So in a situation where you're applying Renew 28 to your face or any area, and then that area starts to manifest something that looks like a problem, I promise you what's happening is the redox molecules are lifting out toxins from the skin cells, lifting out old moisturizer, old makeup, or in the case of perfectly good skin where there isn't any residue in there, but there could be damaged cells, then that can often show up as red blotches. But the damaged dead skin cells are being lifted out of the skin to the surface. Okay, so in no way do redox molecules cause damage. They're always in the process of repairing damaged cells.
Yeah, brilliant. That was a really helpful explanation. And thank you everybody for all the questions. We're right at our half an hour mark, and that was really exciting and fun. This is our first Russell's Redox Room. And again, this is always a collaborative, creating effort by all of us. And so we hope that this was helpful and useful. This is recorded. So if you don't know us, you probably know someone that does. And we're happy to, give you the recording, show you where to get it. And we will be doing this on the first Monday of every month. And again, we hope that it's a useful tool for everybody, and that it provides, again, more value and validation for you as you open your heart and you share redox with loved ones, family, friends, people you meet, things of that nature. So Russell, thank you so very much for just your expertise and your communication around this absolutely profound redox technology. Thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you again in a month. And